I was at my mother's 75th birthday party, surrounded by family, when my daughter called from college. Her voice was a panicked whisper. "Mom," she said, "get out of the house. Get everyone out right now." I didn't understand why, but I trusted her. And it's a good thing I did. Let me back up and explain how we got there, because what happened that Saturday afternoon in March changed everything I thought I knew about safety and trust. My mother, Helen, had been planning her 75th birthday party for months. She wanted it at the old house, the one where I grew up, the one she'd lived in for 43 years. My father had passed away 2 years earlier, and this party felt like her way of reclaiming joy. She insisted on doing most of the cooking herself, though my sisters and I snuck in with extra dishes when we arrived. The house looked exactly as I remembered it from my childhood, with some updates here and there. The same cream-colored walls in the living room, the same family photos climbing up the staircase wall in mismatched frames, the same squeaky third step that always gave me away when I tried to sneak in past curfew as a teenager. I arrived early that morning to help set up. The March sunlight came through the big kitchen window, making everything look warm and golden. Mom had baked her famous chocolate cake, the one with the secret ingredient she still wouldn't tell any of us. The smell filled the entire first floor, mixing with the scent of fresh coffee and the lilies my sister brought. "Karen, sweetheart, can you help me with the tablecloth?" Mom asked, wrestling with the long white fabric. We spread it across the extended dining room table, the same table where we'd eaten thousands of family dinners. I noticed the table had a new stability to it. It used to wobble. "Did you fix the table?" I asked. Mom's face lit up. "Oh, that was Jerry, my new handyman. Such a nice young man. He's been absolutely wonderful, fixing all the little things around here that I kept putting off. Fixed that wobbly table, replaced the broken light fixture in the basement, even cleaned out the gutters last week." "That's great, Mom," I said, smoothing out a wrinkle in the tablecloth. "Dad would be happy knowing someone's helping you with all that stuff." She smiled, but her eyes got a little misty. "Jerry reminds me a bit of your father, actually. Very patient, very thorough. He noticed things that needed fixing before I even asked. Just last Tuesday, he pointed out that the lock on the attic door was broken, fixed it right up." My sister Beth arrived next with her husband and 3 kids. The house immediately got louder. The kids ran through the rooms, their laughter bouncing off the walls. Beth's youngest, Emma, who was 6, found my old dollhouse in the corner of the living room. "Aunt Karen, is this yours?" she asked, her eyes wide. "It was a very long time ago," I told her. "Your grandma saved it for grandkids like you." More family members trickled in over the next hour. My brother David came with his wife and their teenage son. Mom's 2 sisters, my aunts Paula and Linda, arrived together, arguing about the best route to take from Linda's house. Uncle Frank showed up with his new girlfriend, which raised a few eyebrows since his divorce had only been finalized 3 months ago. By noon, there were 23 of us packed into that house. Every generation was represented. Mom held court in the living room, sitting in Dad's old armchair like it was a throne. People kept coming up to hug her, to tell her she didn't look a day over 60, to reminisce about old times. I found myself in the kitchen with Beth and our cousin Rachel, putting together a vegetable tray that nobody would eat because everyone would go straight for the cake and cookies. "Mom seems good," Beth said quietly. "Better than at Christmas." "She does," I agreed. I think planning this party gave her something to focus on, and having help with the house maintenance probably takes some stress off. "The handyman guy?" Rachel asked. She mentioned him to me on the phone, said he's been a godsend. We carried food out to the dining room, arranging everything just so. Mom had used her good china, the set that only came out for special occasions. The afternoon sunlight made the glasses sparkle. I stepped back to take it all in. This was what family was supposed to look like: messy and loud and full of love. My nephew was showing my uncle something on his phone. The little kids were playing some made up game that involved running in circles. My aunts were looking through an old photo album, pointing and laughing at hairstyles from the 70s. Mom caught my eye from across the room and smiled. A real smile, the kind I hadn't seen since Dad died. My heart felt full. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw Chloe's name on the screen. My daughter. She was a sophomore at State University, about 2 hours away. She'd called that morning to wish her grandma happy birthday, but couldn't make the party because she had a major exam on Monday she needed to study for. I stepped into the hallway, away from the noise, expecting a quick, "How's the party going?" kind of call. "Hey, sweetie," I answered. What I heard next made my blood run cold. Mom. Her voice was barely above a whisper, tight with fear. "Mom, listen to me very carefully. Get out of the house, now. Don't ask questions. Make an excuse and get everyone out into the backyard." My mind went blank for a second. "Chloe, what are you talking about?" "Please, Mom." I could hear her breathing, fast and shallow. "I'm calling the police too, but you need to get everyone out right now. All of them. Don't tell anyone why. Just get them out. Chloe, you're scaring me." "What's happening? Are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm at school. But you're not safe. None of you are safe. Please, Mom, trust me. Get everyone outside right now." The line went dead. I stood in that hallway, phone in my shaking hand, my mind racing in 1,000 directions. Was this a prank? It couldn't be. Chloe didn't do pranks, especially not ones that would scare me like this. Was she having some kind of mental health crisis? But she sounded terrified, not confused. Was there a threat she'd heard about? A gas leak? A bomb threat? That last thought made my stomach drop. We were in a house full of people I loved: my mother, my children, my nieces and nephews. I made a decision. I would trust my daughter. I walked back into the living room, forcing my face into what I hoped was a calm expression. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. I needed to get 23 people out of this house without causing a panic. "Hey, everyone," I said, my voice coming out steadier than I expected. "Can I have your attention for just a second?" A few people looked up. Most kept talking. "Everyone," I said, louder this time. The room quieted down. All eyes turned to me. "I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I'm smelling something weird. I think there might be a gas leak. It's probably nothing, but to be safe, I need everyone to head out to the backyard right now while I call the gas company." Uncle Frank sniffed the air. "I don't smell anything." "It's pretty faint," I lied. "But you know these old houses. Better safe than sorry, right? Come on, let's just step outside for a bit. Bring your drinks. We can continue the party out there. It's a beautiful day." Mom stood up, frowning. "Karen, I haven't smelled anything. Are you sure?" "Yes, Mom. Please, let's just get everyone outside. I'm probably being paranoid, but with all the kids here, I just want to be careful." Beth, thank God for Beth, picked up on my tone. Something in my voice must have told her this was serious. "She's right, Mom. Come on, everyone. Let's take the party outside. Kids, grab your coats just in case." People started moving, slowly at first. Too slowly. I fought the urge to scream at them to hurry. "Come on, everyone," I said, making hurting motions with my hands. "Let's move it along." Out the back door. "What about the food?" Aunt Paula asked. "Leave it. We can get it later. Just get outside, please." My voice must have gotten sharper because people started moving faster. I counted heads as they filed past me toward the kitchen and the back door. The kids went first, then the elderly relatives, then everyone else. 16, 17, 18. "Is everyone out of the upstairs?" I called out. I'll check, David said, heading for the stairs. No! The word came out too loud, too panicked. Everyone stared at me. Just call up to them. Don't go up there, not with a possible gas leak. David gave me a strange look, but called up the stairs. Anyone up there? Everyone needs to come down right now. My nephew and his cousin came thundering down the stairs, confused but compliant. 20, 21, 22, 23. Everyone was accounted for. I ushered the last person out the back door and stepped out after them, pulling the door shut behind me. Only then did I let myself breathe. The backyard looked the same as it had when I was a kid. The big oak tree that Dad had built a treehouse in. The flower beds that Mom spent hours tending every summer. The wooden fence that needed painting. Everyone stood around in confused clusters, some annoyed, some concerned, all bewildered. Call the gas company then, Uncle Frank said. Let's figure out what's going on. I will. Just give me a second. I walked to the far corner of the yard, near the fence, where I could talk without being overheard. My hands shook as I called Chloe back. She answered on the first ring. Mom, are you out? Is everyone out? Yes, we're all in the backyard. Chloe, what the hell is going on? You need to tell me right now. I heard her take a shaky breath. Okay, this morning, I video called Grandma to wish her happy birthday, remember? Yes. While we were talking, I saw someone in the background. A man. He was in the hallway behind her, carrying a toolbox. Grandma said it was her handyman, Jerry, and that he was just finishing up fixing something in the attic. He waved at the camera. Grandma said how helpful he'd been. Mom, something about him felt wrong. I can't explain it. His smile didn't reach his eyes. The way he looked at the camera. I'm taking this forensic psychology class, and we just finished a unit on criminal behavior and predator tactics. Something in my gut just screamed danger. My mouth went dry. What did you do? I took a screenshot. After the call ended, I couldn't shake the feeling. So I pulled up the screenshot and really looked at his face. Then I did something probably crazy. I'm doing an internship at the campus police department, and I have limited access to their database system. I ran his face through a facial recognition search connected to the state criminal database. Jesus, Chloe. I know I probably broke some rules, but Mom, I got a hit. His real name isn't Jerry. It's Gerald McKenzie. He's wanted in 3 counties for home invasion, robbery, and aggravated assault. The world tilted. I grabbed the fence to steady myself. His pattern is always the same, Chloe continued, her words tumbling out fast. He targets elderly widows. He poses as a handyman or contractor and gains their trust over several weeks. He does small jobs, acts helpful and friendly. Then he waits for an opportunity. Sometimes he robs them when they're out. But in 2 cases, the victims were home. One woman ended up in the hospital for a week. The other barely escaped. Oh my God. When I realized who he was, I looked at the timestamp on our video call. Mom, that was at 10 this morning. He told Grandma he was working in the attic. The party started at noon. I called Grandma's landline to warn her, but nobody answered. We've all been so busy with the party, I said numbly. I figured, so I called you. Mom, I think he's still in the house. I think he's been waiting for the party to end, waiting until Grandma was alone. Or worse, I think he might have done something during the party, counting on everyone being distracted. My knees felt weak. I need to call the police. I already did, from my campus phone. I called the police in Grandma's town. I told them everything. They said they were sending units. They should be there any minute. As if on cue, I heard sirens in the distance. I hear them, I said. Mom, don't let anyone go back in that house. Not until the police clear it. I won't, Chloe. I know. I love you too. I hung up and turned around to find my entire family staring at me. Karen, what's really going on? Mom asked. Her face was pale. There's no gas leak, is there? The sirens were getting louder. 2 police cars came screaming around the corner, lights flashing. No, Mom, there's no gas leak. The police cars pulled up in front of the house. 4 officers got out, hands on their weapons. My family pressed closer, everyone talking at once. I held up my hand for quiet. Chloe figured something out. I said, "Your handyman, Mom. He's not who he says he is." Mom's hand went to her mouth. What? One of the officers came through the side gate into the backyard. Who's the homeowner? He called out. I am, Mom said, stepping forward. Ma'am, I need you to stay back here with everyone else. We got a call that there may be a dangerous individual in your home. Can you confirm you don't know where he is right now? I thought Jerry left yesterday. He said he was done with his jobs. The officer spoke into his radio. Homeowner confirms suspect may still be on premises. No visual confirmation of his departure. He has a key, Mom said suddenly. I gave him a key so he could work when I wasn't home. He said he'd return it when he was done, but I haven't seen him since yesterday afternoon. The officer's jaw tightened. Understood. Everyone needs to stay in this backyard. Don't go near the house. He went back around to the front. Through the fence slats, I could see more police cars arriving. 6 officers now. They were taking this seriously. Beth grabbed my arm. Karen, what is happening? I told them. All of it. Chloe's video call, the screenshot, the database search, Gerald Mackenzie's real identity and his history. The color drained from Mom's face. He was in my house. For weeks, I trusted him. I gave him a key. He fixed my table. He brought me cookies his girlfriend supposedly baked. He asked about my family, about when people visited. He was gathering information, I said quietly. Learning your patterns. Aunt Linda put her arm around Mom. Helen, this isn't your fault. I let a monster into my home. Mom's voice broke. The kids were confused and getting scared. Beth and David tried to distract them, moving them to the far end of the yard near the old tree house. But we all kept glancing at the house, watching, waiting. My phone rang. Chloe, the police are here, I told her. I know. They called me for more details. Mom, be careful. His record shows he usually carries a knife. Jesus, is Grandma okay? Shaken, but okay. We all are, thanks to you. From the front of the house, we heard a voice through a megaphone. Gerald Mackenzie, this is the police. We know you're in there. Come out with your hands up. Silence. The voice came again. We have the house surrounded. There's no way out. Make this easy on yourself. More silence. I watched through the fence slats as officers positioned themselves at different points around the house. 2 near the front door, 2 at the side. I couldn't see the back door from where I stood, but I assumed they had it covered too. They're going in, Uncle Frank said. He'd climbed up into the old treehouse for a better view, ignoring Beth's protests. I held my breath. 2 officers approached the front door. Mom had left it unlocked during the party. They entered, weapons drawn. The waiting was agony. Every second felt like an hour. I kept imagining what could be happening in there. What if he fought back? What if officers got hurt? What if he somehow escaped? Mom stood next to me, trembling. He was in my attic. He fixed the lock on the attic door. He told me it was broken, but what if he broke it himself so he'd have an excuse to be up there? What if he's been hiding things up there? What if he's been going through my belongings while I slept? Don't think about that right now, I said. But I was thinking the same thing. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The officers who stayed outside remained tense, focused on the house. Then we heard it. A crash from inside. Shouting. More crashes. My heart stopped. Get down from there. An officer's voice muffled by the walls. Another crash. The sound of something breaking. Then silence again. 2 officers emerged from the front door. Between them, they had a man in handcuffs. Even from the backyard, I could see him clearly. Late 30s, average height, brown hair. He looked completely ordinary. He looked like someone you'd trust to fix your sink or paint your fence. He looked like anyone. That was the scariest part. Uncle Frank climbed down from the treehouse. They got him. Mom's legs gave out. Aunt Linda and I caught her before she hit the ground. We lowered her onto one of the patio chairs. It's okay, Mom. It's over. They got him. She was crying. He was in my house. Where was he hiding? An officer came around to the backyard. It was a different one, older, with gray hair and a lined face that had seen too much. Mrs. Patterson? He said, approaching my mother. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I'm Sergeant Morris. Ma'am, are you all right? Where was he? She asked. Where was he hiding? The sergeant glanced at me, then back at Mom. He was in the attic. He had set up a small space up there. A sleeping bag, some food, water bottles. Looks like he's been staying there for at least a few days. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. We found a knife on him, the sergeant continued. A hunting knife, 8-inch blade. He also had a backpack with jewelry in it. I'll need you to come identify it, but it appears to be items taken from your bedroom. My bedroom, Mom whispered. He was in my bedroom. We also found a notebook with what appears to be a schedule. Your schedule, Mrs. Patterson. What time you usually wake up, when you go grocery shopping, when you have visitors. Today's date was circled. Next to it, he'd written, party. Wait until after. The implications hung in the air like poison. He was waiting, Aunt Paula said. Waiting for the party to be over. That's our assessment, Sergeant Morris confirmed. Based on his past crimes and what we found, we believe he intended to rob Mrs. Patterson after her guests left. Given the presence of the weapon and his history, we have reason to believe she would have been in significant danger. He would have killed her, Uncle Frank said bluntly. We can't speculate, the sergeant said. But his eyes said Frank was probably right. I thought about what would have happened if Chloe hadn't called. The party would have ended. Everyone would have gone home. Mom would have been alone in the house, tired from hosting, cleaning up dishes and wrapping up leftover food. She would have had no idea a predator was above her head, waiting. My stomach turned. Your daughter potentially saved your mother's life, Sergeant Morris said, looking at me now. The database system she accessed, that was creative thinking. Technically, students aren't supposed to use it for personal matters, but under the circumstances, I don't think anyone's going to complain. Is Chloe in trouble? I asked. No, ma'am. She may get a talking to from her supervisor about proper database use protocols, but between you and me, she's probably going to get a commendation. Her quick thinking and initiative prevented a violent crime. Can we go back in the house? Beth asked. Not yet. We need to process it as a crime scene. We'll need to document everything in the attic. Dust for prints, collect evidence. You'll have your house back by tomorrow, Mrs. Patterson. But tonight, you'll need to stay elsewhere. Mom nodded numbly. I can stay with Karen. That's a good idea. We'll also need you to make a list of everything that's missing. Do an inventory of your valuables. And we'll need to change your locks. He had a key, and we don't know if he made copies. The idea of him making copies of Mom's house key, giving himself unlimited access, made me feel sick. Over the next hour, more officers came and went. A forensics team arrived. We gave our statements one by one, mostly just explaining the phone call and the evacuation. Mom gave the longest statement, detailing how she'd met Gerald, or whatever his real name was, how he'd approached her after church 6 weeks ago, offering to help with home repairs. 6 weeks. He'd been worming his way into her life for 6 weeks. He seemed so nice, Mom kept saying. So polite, so helpful. That was his weapon. Niceness, trust. He'd used her loneliness against her, her need for help after losing my father. He'd probably watched her, identified her as a target, learned enough to know exactly what to say, how to act. The party that should have been a celebration was now a crime scene. The cake sat untouched on the dining room table. The presents piled on the couch would have to wait. The family photos on the walls had witnessed something dark. My phone rang. Chloe again. Mom. Hey, sweetie. Is Grandma okay? She's shaken up, but okay. They caught him. Chloe. He was in the attic. He had a knife. He'd stolen jewelry from her bedroom. He had a notebook with her schedule. He was planning to hurt her. Chloe was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was thick with tears. I was so scared I was wrong. I was scared I was overreacting, and I'd gotten everyone evacuated for nothing and I'd look like an idiot. But then I was more scared of being right and not saying anything. You trusted your instincts. You saved Grandma's life. You saved all of us, actually. Who knows what he would have done if he'd been cornered during the party? Can I talk to her? I brought the phone to Mom. It's Chloe. Mom took the phone with shaking hands. Chloe, sweetheart. Her voice broke. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She sobbed into the phone. I couldn't hear what Chloe was saying, but Mom nodded, wiping her tears. They talked for several minutes. When Mom handed the phone back to me, she looked a little steadier. Girl, she said. That brilliant girl. She got that brain from your father's side. Hey, I protested. But I was smiling through my own tears. By the time the police finished their initial investigation, it was getting dark. The party had started at noon. It was now almost 7 in the evening. 7 hours that felt like 7 years. Sergeant Morris came back one final time before we left. Mrs. Patterson, we're going to have an officer do drive-bys of your house tonight, just as a precaution. Mackenzie had a partner in one of his previous crimes. We don't have reason to believe anyone else is involved this time, but we're being cautious. When you come back tomorrow, we'll have someone from Victim Services meet with you. They can help with resources, including counseling if you need it. Thank you, Mom said. And, ma'am, I've been doing this job for 28 years. I've seen a lot of close calls. This was one of the closest. If your granddaughter hadn't made that call when she did, we'd be having a very different conversation right now. We all went to my house, all 23 of us. It was crowded and chaotic and exactly what we needed. We ordered pizzas. We put the kids to bed in sleeping bags on the living room floor. The adults sat around my kitchen table processing what had happened. I keep thinking about him watching me, Mom said. For weeks, he was watching me, learning about me, planning. He chose wrong, David said firmly. He thought he was targeting a vulnerable widow. But you're not alone, Mom. You have all of us. And you have a granddaughter with a brilliant mind and good instincts. I need to change everything, Mom said. The locks, the security. Maybe I should move. Let's not make any big decisions tonight, I said. Let's just get through tonight. Tomorrow, we can start dealing with everything else. But I understood what she meant. That house would never feel the same to her. The place where she'd raised her children, where she'd loved my father, where she'd planned to grow old, had been violated. A predator had been living in her attic like something from a nightmare. Later that night, after most people had fallen asleep in various rooms and couches around my house, I sat alone in my kitchen. I called Chloe one more time. You should be sleeping, she said. It's late. I could say the same to you. I've been reading about him, Gerald Mackenzie. They're posting updates on the police database I have access to. He has victims in 4 states, not just 3 counties. Some never reported him because he never actually hurt them physically. He'd just rob them and disappear. But when he was confronted or surprised, that's when he became violent. Mom, if someone had walked up to that attic during the party, don't think about that. I can't stop thinking about it, about all the things that could have gone wrong. What if I hadn't taken that screenshot? What if I hadn't had access to the database? What if you hadn't trusted me and gotten everyone out? But you did. And I did. And everyone's safe. My professor talked about trusting your gut instinct. She said predators trigger something primal in us, something that recognizes danger even when we can't articulate why. When I saw him on that video call, every hair on my body stood up. I felt sick to my stomach. I knew something was wrong. You're incredible. You know that? I'm just glad I called in time. We talked for a while longer until I heard her yawning. After we hung up, I sat in the dark kitchen thinking about the fragility of safety, how quickly a normal day can turn into a nightmare, how a birthday party can become a crime scene. I thought about the trust we give to people, the handyman fixing your table, the contractor cleaning your gutters. Most people are good. Most people are who they say they are. But sometimes, someone with dark intentions learns to mimic kindness. They learn to wear a mask of normalcy. That's the truly terrifying part. Gerald Mackenzie didn't look like a monster. He looked like Jerry, the helpful handyman. He looked like someone you'd recommend to your friends. The next morning, we went back to Mom's house. The police tape was gone. A locksmith was already there, changing all the locks. A security company was scheduled to come the following day to install a system. Inside, the house looked mostly normal. The forensics team had been neat, but the attic ladder was pulled down, and I could see into that dark space where he'd been hiding, where he'd slept above my mother's head, where he'd waited like a spider in a web. Mom stood at the bottom of the ladder staring up. I want it sealed, she said. I never go up there anyway. I want the entrance sealed shut. We'll get it sealed. She walked through her house, touching things. The fixed table, the repaired light fixture. Every improvement he'd made now felt like a violation, like he'd left fingerprints on her life. In her bedroom, she opened her jewelry box. Most of her valuable pieces were gone. Her wedding ring, which she'd stopped wearing because it was too loose but kept in the box. My grandmother's pearls. A diamond bracelet my father had given her on their 30th anniversary. It's just stuff, she said, but tears rolled down her cheeks. It's just stuff, but it was my stuff. It was my memories. The police recovered some of it, I reminded her. They found a backpack full of jewelry on him. But he touched it. He went through my things. He was in my bedroom. She sat on the bed and put her face in her hands. I sat next to her, holding her while she cried. Over the next few weeks, slowly, Mom started to feel safer. The new locks helped. The security system helped. Having family check on her every day helped. Chloe came home for spring break and stayed with her grandmother for a week, which helped most of all. The trial wouldn't be for months. Gerald Mackenzie was being held without bail, facing charges that included burglary, robbery, possession of burglary tools, stalking, and attempted assault. His lawyer tried to argue that he'd just been living in the attic and hadn't actually done anything violent. But the knife and the notebook with Mom's schedule told a different story. Chloe became a minor celebrity on her campus. The story of the college student who used a database search to stop a home invasion made the local news. Her professor submitted her for an award from the Criminal Justice Department. Her supervisor at the campus police, after a stern lecture about proper database protocols, admitted she'd done impressive work. Mom eventually decided not to move. I'm not letting him take my home from me, she declared. This is my house. I raised my children here. I'm not giving it up because of him. She did, however, agree to get a dog. A big German Shepherd named Duke who barked at everything and slept at the foot of her bed every night. Sometimes I think about that day, about the moment I answered Chloe's call, about the decision to trust her whispered warning over my own confusion, about hurting my family out of that house without really understanding why. I think about what would have happened if I'd hesitated, if I'd asked more questions, if I'd decided she was overreacting. I think about Gerald Mackenzie sitting in that attic, listening to us laugh and celebrate below him. What was he thinking? Was he annoyed that we were there? Was he angry that his plans were delayed? Did he imagine what he'd do when we left? I think about my mother cleaning up after the party, alone in that house, tired and happy. I think about him coming down from the attic, knife in hand. I don't like to think about that for long. Instead, I focus on what actually happened. My daughter's sharp instincts, her quick thinking, her courage to make a call that might have seemed crazy, my decision to trust her, my family's safety. We had Mom's 75th birthday party again, 3 weeks later, this time at my house. We ate the same food, we sang the same songs, we told the same stories, but it was different. There was an awareness now, a knowledge that safety isn't guaranteed, that monsters sometimes look like friendly neighbors, but there was also gratitude, an appreciation for the people around the table, for the ones who protect us, sometimes from dangers we don't even know are there. Chloe sat next to her grandmother, their hands intertwined. Duke lay at Mom's feet, his big head on his paws, watchful even in rest. "Make a wish, Grandma," Emma called out as we brought out the cake, candles blazing. Mom closed her eyes for a long moment, then opened them and looked around the table at all of us. "I don't need to wish," she said. "I have everything I need right here." She blew out the candles and we all cheered. The moment was perfect, normal, safe. And this time, we knew exactly how precious that was. My daughter's quick thinking saved our entire family from a predator hiding in plain sight. It's a chilling reminder to always trust that little voice that says something is wrong. Has your gut instinct, or someone else's, ever saved you from a dangerous situation? Share your story in the comments below.